Wriothesley guide in Razor language. Wriothesley finally came, and so did I. He's the first cryo catalyst in the game, and he's basically an on-field cryo DPS, just like Ayaka and Ganyu, but he revolves around his normal attacks to do his damage. You can see him as a cryo melee wanderer. In fact, his kit is pretty similar. After of course his cash flow supervision, his best weapon is in fact Wanderer's Bell. Other good options are Lost Prayer, Widsith, or even the new craftable Flowing Purity. Skyward Atlas and Memory of Dust could be other options too, but you will need a shield in case of memory. Finally, the new event catalyst, Ballad, is also a super good free-to-play option. His artifact set is Hunter, and by a mile, Blizzard is basically the same if against freezable enemies, but that's not always the case in the Abyss or against bosses. Shimenawa and Echoes are fine options if you still don't have a Hunter set, and finally Vermilion is usable, but very cringe, cause you'd need to always burst before entering his skill state, which is not convenient. You'd then need enough energy in his stats just to get that buff, even if his burst, just like Wanderer's, is not that important and you could use it every other rotation without too much DPS loss. Talking about stats, you want attack, cryo, and crit on his main stats, with crit and attack on sub-stats. Energy is welcome, but as I said it's not a priority. If you're planning on playing him Melt though, EM Sands and also sub-stats are a possibility. Now, about Constellations, his C1 is arguably the best C1 in the game in my opinion, even better than Hu Tao C1. The thing is that his playstyle changes a lot with or without it, and might even feel like they restricted his base kit in favor of his C1. It basically makes it so that every normal attack combo is finished, you'll always get the powered up charged attack, and the cooldown goes from 5 seconds to 2.5, which is pretty much one normal attack combo. Not only that, but the damage increase goes from 50% to 200%. C2 is, in short, more burst damage. C4 makes his charge attack heal 50% instead of 30% max HP, and if overhealing occurs, he or other party members get attack speed depending if he's on the field or not. And C6 gives his charge attacks 10% crit rate, 80% crit damage, and every charged attack will now hit twice. A lot of damage. Talent priority is normal attack, skill, and burst. And finally, let's talk about his teams. There are basically 4 categories: Melt, Burn Melt, Freeze, and Fridge. In Melt teams, you can play him with Kazuha or Shenhe, followed by Xiangling and Bennett. In Burn Melt, you basically swap a Pyro unit with a Dendro unit, like Nahida or Baizhu, therefore maintaining the Pyro aura on enemies by burning them, and yourself too. I tried this team in the Abyss. Let's say it wasn't safe to play. You can also play Sunfire, which is Jean and Bennett together. This way you have a lot of Pyro application, VV, and healing. The third member can be Xiangling, Shenhe, Kazuha if you want the cryo buff, or even Nahida for the juicy 250 EM, given that you should be able to survive the burning with 2 healers. Freeze is simple, just bring Kazuha, a Hydro unit like Yellen or Xingqiu, and a healer. Even Bennett can work, as long as you don't infuse Kazuha's burst with Pyro. With C1 you can self-maintain yourself, so a shielder is also a possibility in that case, like Layla or Zhongli. Another good teammate is Yunjin, who can buff his normal attacks. And finally, Fridge, which is basically Hyperbloom plus Cryo. You basically play the Hyperbloom core of Hydro, Dendro, and Electro, and drive with him on the field, getting some freeze here and there as well. And that's it for this guide. Hope you find it helpful, and if so leave a like and sub. Thanks for watching.